Hi everyone, today we're going to be colouring this very delicious looking cake. Now I've been looking forward to doing this one. I've got a few different ideas. I'm thinking Black Forest Gatto, maybe with cherries, yum. But we're just going to start with the cherry and then just work our way through really. Now I've been looking at various colours for cherries. Now I like the black cherries. We obviously did these in quite a nice cherry pink. I'm going to start with quite a dark colour. I may come in a bit closer for you. I just got to try and make sure that I remember to move it back. And I'm going to use my way of shading rather than using the guide given by Klara for this, because I want to make it look quite spherical. So I'm putting down lots of layers on the outside and in there where there will be shadow in there. And now I'm going to start doing less layers as we come in towards the centre and try to make it look like it's more rounded, spherical almost. Oh, I've never seen a completely round cherry. They often seem to have little bits which aren't quite round. Although this colour is called Aubergine, it sort of reminded me of a black cherry a bit, so I thought I would use it for the cherry. I was thinking earlier about the name Klara, because this is obviously a Klara Markova page. I remember my gran used to occasionally call herself Klara. She was called Clarissa, and she always thought her name was old-fashioned. Which I guess it was, to be fair. And so she would, I'm just looking for a leaf colour, so she would change it. So at one point she would call herself Klara. I'm going to use the hooker's green for the leaf. And then as she got older, and that name also wasn't so fashionable, she started to call herself Claire, which I'm not sure I knew any older ladies called Claire. So when she was sort of 90, she was still calling herself Claire. I thought it was so sweet that she wanted a younger sounding, more fashionable name. She even used to refuse to use a walking stick. Leaf green middle for the end. I'm going to put a lot of layers on the tip and less as we go down, and it should all smush together hopefully. She used to refuse to use a walking stick because she thought it would make her look old. Now at 93, maybe she didn't look her age, but it used to seem a little silly to me. But I guess at that point in time I was a teenager, so the idea of caring about looking old didn't really bother me. I didn't have an understanding of that concept. Right, icing time. Now I had thought this would look quite nice in white, but I think that's going to be a bit boring. So I'm going to do some sort of pinky purples. So I'm going to use this purple light. I think it'll work with the cherry. I'm hoping it will. Anyway, and I'm going to make it a bit darker here and then just fade it along towards the middle. So I'm reducing my pressure nice and light here. And then a bit less here. Now this is a Black Forest Gatto, I said, remember? So the top is going to be chocolate. So we need a sort of chocolatey brown colour. I'm not sure what we've got in this set. So I'm thinking about that while I should be concentrating on this bit of icing, but it's coming along anyway. Put a bit of shadow under there, and a bit under there. There we go. Cherry icing. Now the darkest colour I have in this set is the burnt umber, and that's what I'm going to use for my chocolate glaze. I'm going to build the layers up because actually I'm putting down a fairly hard layer. I need to make sure it looks right. Now my mum makes the most amazing chocolate gatto, Black Forest gatto I should say. So she makes a chocolate cake using a great recipe which I also use if I ever make chocolate cake, which these days is very, very rare. And then once you've made your chocolate sponge, you take a tin of cherry pie filling and separate the cherries out from the juice. It's got a sort of thickened sweet juice. So you use the thickened sweet juice in this layer here with whipped cream, and you use the cherry, put the cherries on the top. But what she does, she doesn't put a chocolate glaze like this. She'll pipe whipped cream in little splodges and then balance all the cherries on the top. Delicious. I also remember she used to use it to make cherry pie. This was nice. They all seem to be a forgotten stone that someone would get. But I don't know if they're better now, the tins, or whether you still get stones. I'm trying to make this fairly even. If you imagine you were doing a sort of chocolate ganache glaze, you would try and get it quite even. But now along this side we can start to build in a little bit of shape to the cake. Obviously it looks fairly rounded, it's very, very, very well drawn. But if I fade this a little bit as I go towards the middle, I'm probably overdoing that fade a little bit, but we'll come back, we'll do a bit more, then it will help to emphasise that. I'm going in this end with the darker bit first. Now where I've got these little lines drawn on, I'm going to use my white pen to make sort of shine lines. I want it to look like it's a really tempered chocolate. I've been watching too many episodes of Bake Off, I know these terms about cake. I don't know if you get Bake Off, we call it the Great British Bake Off, but I'm sure there will be versions elsewhere as well. Oh, my computer's crying. Well, the fan is going mad again. I'm trying to multitask today. I suddenly realised how much I've got to do, and so I'm trying to do some editing at the same time as some filming. And it's good because it can just whir away in the background and I can nip in and out and check it. So it's a bit lighter here where sort of middle is, yeah. But for me that doesn't look smooth enough, and some areas aren't even dark enough. I'm just seeing what colour that is. That's not really very, this is definitely the darkest brown. I'm going to go right over the top with another layer, I think. Try and smooth it. You could burnish it a bit with a burnishing pencil, but I'm just gonna, I don't know if there's much tooth in this paper. That's looking better. That actually looks like a slab of chocolate, I think. Maybe it doesn't to you. But it's a sort of milk coloured chocolate, isn't it? It's not very dark. I think it's working. For me at least. And I've gone out the lines, which wasn't planned, but hey hey. So I'm really going to darken this up, but I obviously still want to preserve my sort of shine. I'm just going to try and neaten it up a little bit. Take a little bit of time just to get it looking nice. I want it to be obvious that it is a chocolate glaze. That's that, and once we put some shine on it, it will look better. That bit isn't looking as smooth as I'd like. I'm going to find a blending pencil, if I can. What have I got here? I've got a Prisma one. Hang on. I just need, it's really dirty on the tip. I'm just going to get rid of the blue that's on there. There we go. And I want to make it smoother without adding any more layers of colour. So the blending pencil can do that for me. I'm pleased with that. Okay. Okay, now what should we do? We've got cake. Now we could do chocolate cake, we could do plain cake. I'm thinking because we've got all this chocolate, doing a plain cake might just look better. What I'm going to do next though is I'm going to use my burnt umber pencil to colour in some of these circles, which I think could be chocolate sprinkles amongst the cream. So I'm going to colour in the ones that aren't coloured. Some of them are quite black. Just in this, I'm not doing anything special, I'm just pushing some colour down onto the page. It's too small to worry about shading or anything like that. I just want it to look a bit chocolatey. Feels like it's getting warm. My feet are cold still, but it feels like it's getting warm in here. It's supposed to get really hot tomorrow and it's a bit annoying because I'm going out, but I shall have to be careful with what I wear. Get my hat, make sure I've got that on, and some sunblock with me, because yeah, we've got to go and talk to the kitchen depot about the kitchen, the shop. That's what it's called, the kitchen depot. That's where we're getting our kitchen, we hope. Now that's sort of made that cream look, there's less of a line, isn't there? It'll work once we put some more colour in. So the sponge, I'm looking at my colours. Can I try and go for a paler sponge? I think I can. I think I can use this Terracotta light and do a sponge. So I'm going to really go light because otherwise it will look like it's burnt or a strange colour. I realise that even a plain sponge isn't always the same colour, it depends on the eggs as much as anything else, but I just don't want to make it too dark. So what I'm trying to do is to put down a bit more colour in the corner. I've decided I can be a bit more confident with this colour now I've seen it, and then less towards the middle again. It's not going to be a shine on the sponge, so we don't want to have no colour in the middle. Can you see? Yes. But just build it up on those edges and a bit less in the middle. And here actually Clara's drawn some shading underneath the drizzle, and she's right, there would be a lot of shadow under here, so we can go with that. But do make the shadow darker than the colour that you're colouring the cake, but make these bits darker than these bits so that it doesn't, because there will be less, make it the same contrast between light and dark on these bits as this bit. I hope that makes sense. That bit's not very smooth, it's a bit too dark. Okay. Just trying to smooth it out a bit. Now I'd quite like that cream in the middle to be white, but I'm not. Again, I'm going to do it in this purple light so it matches this. I'm going to go all the way over the top of the chocolate bits because there's not really any other way of doing it, and then make the colour lighter towards the centre of the cake, just the same way we did with the cream on the top, like that. Tasty. Now it's sitting on a sort of doily, so we need to colour that. Now I'm trying to think about what colour we could do. Purple, but would that be a bit similar? I'm thinking maybe we do a slightly different colour, maybe a dark purple, bluey purple, or maybe something delicate might be better. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's do the lavender light because it's a much more, if you look at the end, it's sort of pinkish. It'll work with that, but it's a much more delicate colour, which I think will just work. Now I'm going to do a layer of this all over, and then I'm going to have a look at the shape because they've got a lot going on with this, a lot of folds and bends and shadow and light and all sorts going on. So we'll have a look at that in a minute and I'll talk you through what I'm going to do with it. Now I am thinking that this might be a bit lighter in the middle than at the sides, but just trying to get an even layer, but the pencil's a bit sharp. Okay, let's just start. So a bit darker here, and under the cake is going to be shadow, it'll be a bit darker. I also think it's a bit less in front compared to the sides. Okay, so that's our cake shadow. And we need to think about this. Look, it dips in here and here. And then we can take that up to the edge of those sticky up bits. Now, these look the opposite. So to me, those look like they were sticking up, and to me, these look like they're sunk down. So we're going to put the colour in there instead, but maybe a bit there too. Now here again looks to me like it needs to come from there and go up there. There we go. We've got quite a pattern going on. Looks, I quite like that. Let's come out and have a look at the whole thing. See how it looks. Will it fit? There we go. Now, of course, thinking now, it might have been wise to do a green one because it would just go with that cherry flower. It's a little bit late now. So now I'm going to, work my white. So I'm going to grab my Posca and do my white shine. So I'm going to put a bit on this edge of the cherry. I think that won't stay. I think it will go pink because of the colour that I've chosen. I'm going to do a little bit round on that bit of the cake and a bit on there. And then I'm going to look at the markings on here and follow those around the edge. I might put a bit there as well. There we go. So it looks a little bit more shiny. So I think that'll do. I could fiddle around, but I think if I put any more on, it's going to be over the top. So that hopefully it looks like a shiny chocolate glazed cherry cake. It's not quite the gâteau because we haven't got the brown sponge, but I think it works. So I hope that was okay. So thank you for watching. I had a lot of fun. I'm off to have a slice of my cake. You can come round and have one as well. I'll put the kettle on and we'll have a nice slice of cake and a cup of tea. But or you can just join me for the next instalment tomorrow. Maybe. Anyway. Thank you so much for watching and happy colouring.